Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the God. Oh my goodness, Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to be the goddesses they were meant to be. I'm tongue-tied Julietta, the magical PT, this morning, and just so you know a little bit about me, I am originally from Wisconsin, but I live down in sunny Fort Lauderdale, where it's a brisk 65 this morning, I think. And I'm a physical therapist, but I'm a really outside the box physical therapist, or maybe like the box doesn't even exist physical therapist. Um, but I empower mostly women, but some men and some kids too, and bringing balance into their mind, body, spirit, so that it all functions optimally. So you can be a goddess and be the most that you can be. And I've been podcasting with Allison for a little over a year now. And I'm also an artist, and I paint, I make jewelry, and I'm a traveler. I love to travel the world, and I'm hoping we can finally finish with this pandemic so I can get back out there and see more of it. And how about you, Allison?
I'm in agreement with you there on that. Like, I can't wait to start traveling more again. I mean, yeah, I've been traveling domestically, but anyways. So my name is Allison Mancini. I'm excited to be here today. I also live in South Florida with Julietta, where we are not going to hit 70 today. She just informed me, and I'm very excited about that. And I am a mom to two amazing adult children, a 25-year-old son and a 22-year-old daughter. I am also the wife to a wonderful man for almost, we were talking about it, it's almost 29 years. We've actually been in Florida for 29 years. How crazy. Actually, 29 years like next week. Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
I know. I've been here longer than anywhere in my life now, more than half of my life. So that's a little weird to think that way. But my passion is really helping women. So I am a human resources director and functional nutritionist. And I am just super passionate about making sure that women take care of themselves, because I know all too well how difficult it is when you don't have your health, how difficult it is to do the things that you love to do, raise your family, do all the activities, be part of your community if you don't have your health. And I am 100% believer in nutrition is such a key part of our health. And so that's what I love to do. And I'm originally from Michigan. Julietta's originally from Wisconsin. So we are Midwest girls at heart, but we are excited to be here. It's the month of February. I cannot believe that already. It's crazy.
I know. How did January just went poof, and here we are in
It did fly
February.
by. It did fly by. And speaking of it being February, because it's kind of like that month of love, we've got Valentine's Day. Nick and I were at the grocery store last night, and he's like, "Oh, it's almost Valentine's Day." I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, after 29 years, I'm not expecting it. I'm like, whatever. But what it does bring to mind to me is just that, especially after what we've gone through over the last couple of years. And I know you and I talk about this, and I know this is a really big theme for you in your practice and in your life, is that theme of love. But I would like to discuss it a little bit from the perspective of our friends and our community, because so many times I find that we get so busy in everything that we're doing that we forget to make the time for friends. Like, I know you're really good at that. Like, you always have your dinners out with your girlfriends. For me, I'm not as good as that. I kind of can get into my little hermit world when I'm working, and then Nick and I will just go grab a bite to eat. But friends are really important. And I don't know, I just want to hear what your thoughts are. Like, why do you think that is such a key thing? I mean, you're the love guru. I'm gonna start calling you that.
Maybe I'm going to change my branding to the Magical Love PT.
There you go.
Well, and my belief is love is the answer to every problem that exists. And I always start out with, first you have to love yourself. So when you're telling me I have difficulty making time and connecting with my friends, that also makes me ask, do you have difficulty making time and connecting with yourself? Because the world is a mirror to ourselves. Yeah. What we see out there is what's existing in here. Mm-hmm. And so the more you're able to love yourself and connect with yourself, the more you will then be able to love and connect with others. And I think we mentioned this on past podcasts as well, that loneliness will increase your chance of dying by 45%. Worse than things like obesity and alcoholism and air pollution, and I just think about, us going through this pandemic, and they were making us all isolate. How many people actually died of loneliness? They got COVID and died because they were lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Their immune systems would have functioned so much better if they had connection with their friends, with their family. Because it makes you healthier.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, there's that research out there, which is so cool. But I love how you brought up the whole thing about mirroring, because I think that's something that you brought to my attention a few years ago. I will never forget it. We were at my lake house and we were standing upstairs by my desk and we were talking about it, and you explained it to me and I was like, oh my gosh, holy cow, you're so right. Like I think it was the one thing you said to me was like, when you see when one of your friends or somebody is doing something that just really drives you crazy, you really need to think about why that's driving you crazy or why it makes you angry. And I was like, oh, yeah, because that's probably because I do that stuff.
So, and once you realize that, it minimizes your judgment of them.
Exactly.
It allows you to love them more. Mm-hmm. But it also helps you decrease your judgment on yourself and allows you to have more love and compassion for yourself. I used to, she still exists. I have this little, this little devil over here that I call Judge Judy that judges everything. She used to be so active. Oh my goodness. And the more awareness I have there, it's so rare that I even hear her anymore. She's on mute most of the time. And the level of stress in my life from that is just, I feel so good.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing is, and I think the reason we wanted to kind of talk about that was that, really take time for your friends, make that time. And you're absolutely right, Julietta. If you're not, it's really, it's an expression of loving yourself and caring for yourself. And I think it's so easy, even as we get older. I look at a lot of elderly people that are completely by themselves. They have no connection, no nothing. So I think it's such an important thing to put at the top of our list of to-dos.
Reach out to your friends and reach out to people that you think might be lonely.
Yeah. Yes.
Make that your February Valentine's intention to connect with people.
Yep.
We need to get this rolling along here, Allison. But really cool, it's a new month, so we have a new sponsor.
Yay!
So this episode is brought to you by Lirios Massage and Beyond. Welcome to Intuitive Healing. Whether you are looking to recharge and replenish or just come in for a tune-up and a little work, Lirios Massage and Beyond aims to support your body using various methods and modalities of massage, skincare, energy healing, and more. Our unique intuitive fusion of East and West provides both structural and energetic realignment. From sports massage and deep tissue to cupping and hot stones, we work with your unique situation to provide healing and relief. Visit our calming oasis right here in paradise in Florida. So sorry to our listeners who aren't in Florida, but Florida is also very much a heavy vacation destination. So if you are in the area, check our show notes. You'll find the contact information how to visit Lirios Massage. Marcia, speaking of friends, is a good friend and an amazing healer. You will not be disappointed. So
awesome.
Let's bring on our guest,
Yay!
Allison.
Hello, Gail. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. So nice to be here with you this morning.
We are excited to have you. So please tell our audience a bit about you and what you do.
Okay, yeah. Well, my background is that I have been a massage therapist since 19 years old. So that's 28 years I've been in the massage industry. I also was a licensed physician. And about 9 years ago, I just really needed a change. And I thought, I think I can help other therapists in the industry learning the business and the marketing, because that was a part of being a massage therapist that I fell absolutely in love with. I didn't know I would be good at it. Just was one of those things that I learned as I went along. And I was like, I'm good at this. I want to help other people with this. I know it's something that therapists struggle with. So I started an online business teaching different aspects of business, marketing, making more money by adding spa treatments to your services. And that just ended up growing and growing as I learned more about how to do online business. And so I retired from hands-on in 2016 and ran my business, Massage and Spa Success, until January 3rd. Again, we're always growing and expanding. So through my journey of online business, I've realized I want to take the next step. And so I've been writing books. I became certified as a Feng Shui consultant, and I still love teaching the business and marketing. So I'm kind of rebranding as more of a general success coach. I still love helping massage therapists, but I didn't want to be limited to that. So that's what I'm doing now. I have several different online programs. I wrote 6 books in 2021.
Wow. That's impressive.
I can't even get one book written, much less 6.
And there, so I just really had to look at, what is a book? I'm like, let's question everything. So now with ebooks and Kindle books, a book can be 100 pages. So, which is really nice and fun to be able to kind of say, oh, it doesn't have to be 300 pages. It doesn't have to take 5 years to write. So I'm also a mom. You mentioned you had grown children. So my daughter's 24 and she's in Colorado.
Nice.
And my son is 13 and we're actually homeschooling. We're pandemic homeschoolers. And he'll be going to high school in the fall and I'll be back on my own.
That's exciting. Well, I love hearing how you have evolved over the years, because that's one of the things Julietta and I talk about a lot on here in our podcast is that, and you having a young 20-something-year-old, I think that was one thing I had to really I had to encourage my kids to be okay with, just because you decide right now this is what you want to do, that doesn't mean that's what you have to do forever. You can go through, you know what I mean? My son, he was actually writing for a hockey blog out of Canada and he was loving it. He did it for 2 years. He did great at it. He made decent money with it. And then something else came along and he started getting more involved with that. And he decided, I never forget, he called me just a couple months ago. He's like, Mom, I think I need to let the hockey blog go. And I'm like, that's okay. That's you. It was great experience. You loved it. You could always go back to it if you so choose. You know what I mean? But you just need to keep evolving. And I love that you bring that up. I think that's so important, because I don't know if it was just my family's mindset or the way I was brought up, that I was brought up that you do a job and that's what you do for your whole life. That's it. You have a career and that's it. So I really appreciate it.
I think in our time, that was kind of the mindset of people in general.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought, I would be in the spa industry for my whole career. But, you get that. I find about every 5 years, I start to just get a bit itchy. And I'm like, okay, what's next?
Good for you. Well, speaking of all the books that you've written, our first question for you actually is about books. And so we are curious, what is one book that you wish every goddess would read and why?
Well, this is a really hard question because I read 2 books a week. So picking just one is very, very hard. But I consider myself to be kind of a business goddess. And one book that has really helped me is The War of Art.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, we can get so up in our heads and create these mental blocks for ourselves. And I just love the way he breaks it down and says, that's really a choice. It's really a choice to give into that. You can just make, show up anyway, do it anyway. And that's been a big part of my career, especially since I've been online. And it can be really, like, I'm sure you guys know, intimidating to show up on camera, put yourself out there. And it's like, yeah, but what am I committed to?
So you're touching on it a little bit. Like, what do you think that, like, what really impacted you about that book? Was it the confidence that you gained from reading that book? What do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think really made a difference for you?
I think it was just the making that personal policy for myself, that I show up in spite of my feelings.
I love that.
So, and that was kind of the whole theme of the book is, yeah, you can feel however you want. Do it anyway.
Yeah. 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 That's true. What is it? What something I've heard from many different people recently is like, fear can be with you along for the ride, but they can't drive the bus, right? Like, you know what I mean? You just got to keep going. You just got to do the things you got to do, no matter if you're not feeling great.
That's something Gabrielle Bernstein, I think, talks about a lot.
Yeah.
In Big Magic. She has a little thing that she talks to her fear and says, get in the back seat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's a great book.
Magic. And also there's the concept that fear and excitement basically feel the same way.
Yes.
So if you're feeling fear, just go, oh, you're not fear, you're excited. I'm excited to do this.
Yeah. And that's good. And yeah, being able to just reframe those kind of feelings, very, very important.
Yeah, I did that with Julietta and I met through a networking organization that we were both a part of, and we had to stand up and speak every week in front of like 50 people. And in the beginning, I would always get so nervous about it. And, you feel that adrenaline goes and your mouth gets dry and you're just all stressed out. And then I don't know where I read it, but at some point I read about how the emotions you feel when you're excited are the exact same emotions you feel when you're fearful, right? Like that whole adrenaline rush, that everything. And I'm like, oh. And so I started sitting at the table before I would have to stand up and say, okay, this is so exciting. This is how it would feel. It would be so exciting. And it truly helped so much that now anytime I start getting that feeling, I'm like, yeah, no, this is just excitement. That's all it is, not fear. So yeah, that's very helpful.
We went to Mexico in December, and it was my first time, going to Mexico, not to like a resort or something more structured. And I was nervous. I remember on the plane telling my husband, I'm like, you know what? I need to be having this feeling right now on the regular, because it means you're doing something.
Sure.
To really get out of your comfort zone. Because I was like, are we going to be able to get our money when we get there? Am I going to be able to communicate and order my food? Like, I was just nervous about the trip, but also very excited. And so, yeah, it was all that same feeling.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Nice. All right. It's time for question number 2, Gail. What is your top self-care practice and how does it support you?
Yeah, I would definitely say my morning routine. That is my time. I get up. I have about ideally 2 hours to myself every morning. I'm not perfect. Some days I end up with 45 minutes, but I read, I drink my coffee. I have no devices. My phone has to stay in the kitchen or I will get sucked into it. But yeah, I might go down to the treadmill, plan my day. It just really sets me up to have a good day. If I feel like journaling is needed to get through some blocks or just figure things out, I'll do gratitude, I'll do affirmations. I just kind of vary it from day to day. But that time to myself in the morning before I have to, do homeschool, worry about all the things that are going to pop up during the day, like losing my car keys and
yeah, not being able to find your phone when you're talking on it.
Yeah, figuring out what's for dinner. My husband's like calling me and to discuss bills or whatever in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So that is, and then I've got my top priority set for the day, and I know like what I need to get done that day if everything else just, falls apart, which occasionally it does.
Well, and I love how you said, like, because Juliet and I are both about, that time for yourself in the morning and, morning routine, whatever that looks like for you. But I love how you say, because when I first started doing a morning routine, I was like, okay, I have to do all 5 of these things. And if it doesn't happen, then that's not a successful morning routine, because I'm super type A personality. And I finally, like a year ago, was like, okay, this is silly. This is your morning routine. Like whatever that looks like for you, you need to do that makes you feel good. And so some mornings I have a half an hour and some mornings I have 2 hours. It just kind of depends on how I'm feeling and, how the night went before and how I slept and, what I've got on my plate for that day. But I would say at least always have that at least a half an hour of time, just gathering myself together, having my coffee, journaling, sometimes most of the time meditating, reading, just doing my thing.
But it's like you've got all these ingredients you can choose from.
Right.
Morning routine. And just like, we probably don't eat the same breakfast every single day for our entire life. We probably choose from like these breakfast foods.
Right.
So.
Okay, well, so that kind of brings us to, as we're speaking about our days, when you are having one of those days where you're just, it's kind of difficult to show up, you're struggling, whatever, what tool do you pull out of your back pocket to make it happen?
So again, it's kind of like what we were just saying with the morning routine. Like we have all these options. So, but I pick something that I feel like might shift my energy. So sometimes that's a walk by myself, getting some fresh air, because moving your body, that just helps your mindset, gets your thoughts going. By the time I get home from a walk, I'll usually feel like doing something productive. It could be, maybe I'm like, well, I just don't want to work on my business today. What else could I do? So maybe today I think I'm going to declutter my clothes closet. But doing that is going to shift energy in other areas of your life. So just knowing that it's all connected, and just the smallest thing will usually get that momentum going. Like, okay, if I'm having a really crap day, which I'd say is unusual for me, but it does happen. It's like, well, maybe I'll just put on a load of wash. By the time you do that, well, now I'm in the kitchen. Might as well load the dishwasher. And when, you just start building that momentum. So I would say that's just that concept of just do one thing.
Yeah.
Just start something.
I love how you said that about like decluttering your closet. Cause I find like on those, I'm saying like way too much. Okay. I find on those bad days, if you just do that one thing, whatever it is, like you said, it does totally shift your energy. Yeah. It totally gets you going in a different direction. And I think about times when I've had a bad day and I thought, okay, I'm standing in front of the fridge. I'm just going to clean out the fridge. And then before I know it, my entire mindset and shift, like it's just totally different. And then I can get to those things, whatever they are, work-wise or whatever it is that I was struggling to get to before. It's interesting because I'm listening to a girl, she has a bunch of different programs. Her first name is Jessica, and I cannot remember her last name, but she has a program called Superflow, and it's really awesome because she talks about exactly that, like just going with the flow of the energy and trying to, work with, because you become more productive that way if you do those kinds of things versus being so rigid. Because again, I'm a very rigid person. So
yeah, and that could be like if you have, because I find when I set up too many rules and structure for myself, my inner rebel will be like, start to sabotage me.
Like I say that your inner rebel. Yeah. I have that inner rebel too that
She'll be like, you can't tell me what to do. Like with the morning routine. If I try to get too strict with my morning routine, I'll find that I'm not doing it at all. So knowing yourself, I think the better we get to know ourselves, we can kind of hack ourselves with different things, like knowing, I can't set up too much structure in my life because then I'll rebel and watch Netflix all day.
Some days, yep.
Yeah. And also too, I think it's like give ourselves permission. Like, we can't be on all the time. And, often if you just give yourself that space or say, I'm just going to go have a fun day. I mean, you come back, that's self-care. You come back more energized. You maybe get some great ideas, because there is, often when I don't know what to do, I'll just say, well, I'm just going to do nothing for the day until I do know, instead of trying to push something through that's not quite right.
Beautiful. So our last question, yes, we are all the result of all of the experiences that we have in our life, but usually there's some experience that really stands out that played a big role in forming who we are. So what is that experience for you, that top experience that formed who you are today?
I really think it was becoming a single mom at the age of 22. And, and realizing, I'm responsible for this little girl, and what example do I want to set for her? And I think that just really set me on the path of, I want to be a successful businesswoman and show her that, that she can do or be whatever she wants to be. And also simultaneously, I was like, also, I kind of have something to prove. Because I was like at the bottom. I was like, I hit rock bottom in my life. I married somebody I should not have married. I was embarrassed and just really down on myself at that point. And I was like, you know what? This is not who I am. And so that energy sometimes can really move us forward. That energy of, I'm going to show everybody. So, and I dropped that, but it set me definitely on my path that I'm on, that I wanted to, prove to myself, and, kind of just that, despite all the bad decisions I made, I could still, make it and live a great life.
Yeah, I love, that idea that we all make bad decisions. We all do. And that doesn't say that I'm bad because I made a bad decision. No, I just made a bad decision, and now I get to make new decisions, and anything is possible. And at anywhere in life, this happened to you when you were 22, but this can happen to someone much later. I married the wrong person too, and it took me 25 years to finally do something about that. And there's always the opportunity to change your life and better your life, and bad decisions don't determine the rest of your life.
And every day we make good and bad decisions. Like yesterday, I lost my car keys. I had to call my husband to come get me.
Like I said, I've been on the phone with my husband saying, I cannot find my phone anywhere. And he's like,
where are my glasses?
He's like, hello. Well, I think that's incredible that the age of 22 that you were able to do that, because I mean, listen, my daughter's 22 right now. Julietta knows my daughter. She's a lovely young woman, but she would not have been able to handle what you just basically described you went through at the age of 22. So, it's hard, you're that young too. It's a experience, maturity, everything. You don't have all of that to pull from. So the fact that you were able to pull that together and see what you wanted to do moving forward, I think that's incredible. And I'm sure that your daughter really looks up to you for all of that. Because I know I came from a single mom. I was 12, and I still to this day am like, my mom was pretty freaking amazing, because she did a lot as a single mom. And I was the youngest of 3 girls. So she was like rocking and rolling. Yeah.
I love that. See, I grew up in a family. There were 3 of us with a single mom. And my mom got her PhD, taught at a university. So I did have that really good example. I was like, wow, I had living proof that it can be done.
Exactly. So. Yeah. They're passing on that legacy. Absolutely. I mean, I look at all me and my 2 sisters now, all of us, when we sit and we consider what we kind of came from and everything we went through, we're like, we're pretty amazing. Like, because stacked because the cards were never stacked for us. They were always kind of against us. And the fact that all three of us are successful, pretty well-balanced adults at this point. And, it's pretty amazing. So, and it's a legacy that my mom passed on, and we give her a lot of credit for that. So I'm sure that
about the foundation that you had.
Yeah.
And I think that, with my daughter being 24,
mm-hmm.
I think that it's a different world that they're in now, and they have
absolutely
quite a few different things to navigate than we had.
No doubt. No doubt
about it. With social media, I don't know how I would have turned out.
As I like to say, it's a good thing social media didn't exist when I was in high school. So yeah.
You don't want those photos out there.
No. Not especially because my kids know, like we've had these conversations, but I wouldn't want my kids to, like, I always say to my kids, really think about what you put on your social media, because it's there forever. You may think it's not there forever, but it's out there. If you just Google search your name, it's a little crazy, scary what comes up. So yeah.
Right. And that's, I see a lot of the kids getting off social media.
Yeah, they are.
This is healthy for me, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I do see that now too. Yeah. So our final question for you is, from our whole time today, if there was one thing you would want our audience to remember, what would it be?
Well, Julietta touched on it earlier, and being 47 years old and closing my successful business to go all in on another one. I mean, I have no idea what's going to work. I just want to say that it's never too late to step into, what it is that you've always thought about doing or dreamed about doing. And it may not look exactly like what it would have looked if you started 20 or 30 years earlier, but you can have those qualities in your life. If you always wanted to be an actress, but you're 55, you know what? Join the community theater. Start bringing in those qualities that you wanted. You take that ballet class, even if you're 50, because one thing leads to another. And it's just, that's one thing I learned through my journey online is I just was going to write a couple of ebooks and teach an online class. And it just, one thing led to another. I was doing online summits. I was on the cover of Massage Magazine. I'm like, I don't even know what happened here.
Good for you. That's awesome.
It's just, if something's calling to you and you've always wanted to try it or do it, go for it.
Amen.
I agree. Juliet and I definitely agree. So good for you. That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, Gail, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show. And I also want to say thank you to Illyrios Massage and Beyond for sponsoring this episode. We love you. And thank you to our audience for listening. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard here today, please like, subscribe, follow, and share this. And if you want to read one of Gail's books or take advantage of some of the programs she offered, her contact information will be in the show notes. And also, if you need to get a hold of Allison or I, the information how to get in touch with us is there as well. And with that said, I want to wish you all a very magical day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.